BookTube. I'm Peg, the book prize addict, and as you can see, I still have my hoarseness and I sound like a frog, just like the last one I made almost a month ago. But I have to thank BookTube, somebody on BookTube. I told him how I was just having a terrible cough, on and on and on, and I tried every cough drop in the world, and one of the, I can't remember who it was, but somebody on BookTube made a comment that I should try these old-time Fisherman's Friend cough drops. And boy, do they work. Woo! So I have one in my mouth now. I'm hoping to be able to make this video without coughing. We'll see. Okay. First of all, a belated Merry Christmas, but Happy Holidays as far as New Year's go. And I wanted to show you my Christmas sweater, or holiday sweater, really, that I knitted. And it has a little story behind it. This is by one of my favorite designers, knitting designers, Stephen West. He's well known, has a shop in Amsterdam, though he's American, and he comes here for a lot of shows. But it's called the Slouchy Sleeved Sweater. Now, my sleeves aren't real slouchy, but they're kind of slouchy. You can see that the thing is, it's an end-of-the-year project that you can use up all the yarn that you had left over from the rest of the year. So you can see, I had a lot of red, thank goodness, so it's mainly red, but the sleeves are just about every color that I had in my leftover in my work basket. And he called it slouchy sleeves because in his pattern, these were like real big sleeves and real long, so you could use a lot of the old yarn you have, but mine are just really kind of normal sleeves. Anyway, so that's my pride and joy. I think I'll probably have to put it away in mothballs next week. Okay, what else have we got here? I've got a new plan for what I want to read in the new year, but I'm going to wait till the new year to talk about it because I wanted to do this long-delayed, promised, oh no, things are going bad already. Oh, okay. Promised talk on one of my favorite best books of the year, and this list is by our own Steve Donnoghue. I've followed it for 3 years now, and he has I think at least 15 different categories. So I'm here to talk about a few of the fiction ones that I really enjoy hunting them down if I haven't read them, and read them and seeing what he has to say about them. So I'll put the link down below to the open letters where you can see all of his nonfiction categories. It's amazing all he has. I didn't have as much time this year to look into the nonfiction, but I have a few of the fiction prizes that I want to talk to you about. And let's see here. Okay. The first one, he has a best mysteries of the year. And he makes a point, he writes a little bit about each one, that 9 of the 10 mysteries on the list are parts of series. But now, in the past, he's made the point that if it's part of a series, it really should, if it's going to be sellable, have enough explanation so you can read it without having read the series. And I'm sure these are all like that. So, and he writes about the joy of, having a series you're following, and when a new one comes out, you're excited to read it. And also, obviously, they're some of the best-selling authors. But the one that's not part of the series was rated as his #1 mystery of the year, called The Hunting Party. Oh boy, those lights again. By Lucy Foley. I have read this, and it was tremendous. It's kind of, in a way, almost like what they call the golden mystery years, but it takes place in the present day. But a group of 4 couples from that went to Oxford together get together and go to this chalet out in the woods somewhere, this fancy place. They make a habit of doing it every New Year's for the New Year's weekend. And it's one of those where a big storm comes, things get shut off, there's a killer loose, and it is just fantastic. It's got a lot of my 2 favorite things in mysteries. It's got a lot of atmosphere, the snow, the woods, the creek, the people, but it has wonderful characters. In a thing like this, often if the story is in a mystery, the story is the main deal, and the characters just kind of exist to carry on the stories. But his characters were wonderfully done, and there's no doubt in my mind who was who. There's probably 3 women, that tell the story, and each of those was a very distinct character. And he did an interesting thing with the timeline. He'd skip back and forth to get to know different people at different times. And actually, you know somebody's been murdered, but you're not really sure who was murdered. And he just did a great job of keeping the mystery going. And I loved it. I think he picked well on that. So this is the English cover. The American cover is kind of boring, white with a little red on it. But anyway, I got it from my library, so it should be pretty well available. Okay, the next list that this fiction group that I was interested in was the historical fiction. And I'll just, in all these, I'm just telling you the best on the list. You can look them up yourself, and some of them I'd like to read all of them. Anyway, his best historical fiction was called Mistress of the Ritz by Melanie Benjamin, and this takes place during the World War II. There's a couple involved who are managing the Ritz Hotel, the famous hotel in Paris, as the Nazis are taking over Paris. And Steve writes that there is unsung heroism, deep personal betrayals, and extremely memorable moments. So I haven't read this. I do have it from my library on the list, so I'm looking forward to reading it. Okay, next we have one of his, for fiction and nonfiction, he has a worst of the year list. And I've heard people are really worried about being on that, different authors, so you'll be surprised, or maybe not. His worst fiction of the year was the well-known Testaments by Margaret Atwood. Unless you've lived in a closet somewhere all year, if you've been reading at all, you know that this was a follow-up from her Handmaid's Tale, a dystopian type feminist novel that was out quite a few years ago. There's been a lot written about it, and it actually, the big flap about it is they divided the Booker Prize between this and another book which most people think should have won. And there's been lots written about this. So I haven't read it. I did read The Handmaid's Tale some time ago and wasn't real crazy about it. Margaret Atwood's not really super. I've read quite a few of hers actually, and I'm not in love with her writing anyway, so I figured I'd probably go along with his thinking on this. Okay, what do we have next? We have next we're getting down to the best fiction debut. Now, Steve admits that debut fiction is kind of his thing. Of course, he gets all of them in the mail and is able to read them and compare and contrast. So actually, I was surprised he read so many of the debut fictions. The one he picked out as the best was one I had read earlier in the year called Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. This you could almost say this has a little bit of science fiction fantasy in it, but just in one thing. The setup, it's in a small town in Virginia, and a group of Korean-American family has this, what do they call it, like a tent, airtight tent that people can go into, and it's called, where did I put it? This is not good. I can't even remember what I was. It's a special treatment center that's hyperbaric chamber that cures many things from infertility to autism. And they have patients that come there and go through the procedure there. And one day it blows up and kills two people, and it's pretty obvious it's not an accident. And I was going to say, it's a courtroom drama when they go to court and talk about, try to figure out whose fault it was, etc. But the first thing Steve said about it was, everybody says it's a courtroom drama, but it's so much more than that. And he talks about the Korean family, they've been immigrants, and the different themes that are brought up in it. It really made me think about it even more. But I certainly remembered it, even though it's almost a year ago I read it. So that's a sign that it stuck in me, the characters and the situation. So I might want to read that one again. Okay, what are we at? We are at his best fiction of the year. And that is, again, unless you've been in a hole somewhere, you've heard about this, I'm sure, Duck's Newburyport by Lucy Ellmann. Steve makes the comment that it should have won the Booker Award. I'm not sure about that, but it did win the Goldsmith Award, which I think is perfect for it, because the Goldsmith Award does do innovative, original, experimental type novels, and that is what this is. I did 2 different videos on it, and many videos have been made of it, but briefly, it is in the mind, over 1,000 pages of a woman as she bakes. She's a at-home baker, and goes through her life and thoughts about the world, America today. And I think, I was going to say, people love it or hate it. They love it or they don't finish it. So the people that you don't read enough to describe why they don't like it. But it's on many people's best of the year list. So that one, again, I might want to be reading again. So anyway, okay, I made it through without coughing. Want to wish you all a happy new year, and I'll be back in the new year, hopefully more. Hopefully the cough will be gone for sure. And I have a project to read from the over 1,000 books on my shelf for a change. I will be doing the BookTube prize, so those won't be books from my shelf. But I'm looking forward to dwindling down some of my 6 huge bookcases that I realized I had when I moved this summer. Okay, Happy New Year. See you later. Bye.